Well, I think we basically reduced mobility. Well, I'm talking about mobile, we're talking about mobility. We reduce it down to thinking about screens. So if you reduce it down to screens, then you're in a situation where it's less about the issues you've just mentioned and more about great creativity and what we call human experiences. So if you create a great human experience, what you do is that will be a cross-screen experience. So it naturally lends itself and leans into the mobile space. So that might be a tablet, it might be a smartphone, but ultimately it's a screen. So rather than thinking about mobile as a separate entity and something that needs to be addressed in a silo, it's about thinking about how do we create great human experiences that become fantastic human experiences across screens.
So how do the brands play in that new mobility world?
It's more, again, thinking about, well, how do we use data to create context and address the consumer in the right space, on the right screen, with the right experience. So if you put all those things together, you have a fantastic opportunity. Do it badly, and you're into a display market that's just on a smaller screen. And that gets really frustrating both for the consumer, but also for the brand, for everybody. I think the key challenge is we're still locked in a world where we're creating advertising assets. But we talk about real time, we talk about connectivity. The consumer's already there. Okay, our process is hurting us in a sense that we still create assets that don't necessarily chime with the way consumers are spending time with all the media platforms we want to be part of. So, what does that mean? It means that effectively we need to be more agile. We need to think about how media is no longer a simple creative asset environment, and more about how do we scrape and understand what's happening now and then respond in that in an agile way. So I think the asset space is hurting us a little bit in terms of speed and an ability to adapt to a world where consumers' expectation is far ahead of where we are in terms of creative assets.
So the whole real-time advertising solution it sounds like it needs to happen, and when might that emerge, or how might it emerge?
It's emerging now. We're doing it now. I mean, great brands like Samsung and Honda and Heineken are doing it now, but it needs to become part of our industrial muscle. So how we actually behave in that way, it's very difficult. Where, as a human experience company, how do we interact with a creative agency with our brands is fundamentally different than it was 3 years ago. So the use of data and the smart agility that gives us enables us to be more at the forefront of how those creative content assets need to be created and how they get deployed. So fundamentally, it's a different kind of relationship that we probably haven't had in the past, but we're getting there. So there isn't a barrier. It's more of our organising ourselves to be able to be involved.